So when was the last time you actually pushed yourself to do something? When was the last time you were seeking this uncomfortable situation where you were like, I don't want to do it, I can't be asked, I don't want to get up, but you actually do it? Because I'm going to link down a podcast, but there's two fundamental parts of being happy. One is experiencing new experiences, but us as humans, we're wired to be comfortable, to not go out, because from a biological standpoint, being comfortable, like being in a house, having shelter, having food, having the necessities, would keep us alive. So, but now it's different. Now people are getting too comfortable. And one of the things of human nature is that we also don't like taking risks. So it's like finding this balance. Another part of being happy and experiencing happiness, which I do want to ask you, are you even happy? Like what does happiness mean for you? A lot of the times we don't even like sitting down with ourselves and discussing this because we're constantly distracting ourselves in some kind of form, whether it's social media, whether it's going to the gym, constantly distracting ourselves. So a lot of the times we don't even know ourselves, and that's scary. But another part of happiness is having these social meaningful connections. And I'm not talking about making as many friends as possible over your lifetime, having as many phone numbers on your phone as possible. It's about the meaningful connections where you can really talk to people and really put your feelings on the table. Because I don't want to be that like, oh, like you really need to talk about your feelings, like it's really important, but like generally it is. And like you don't even need to talk to people about, well, it's certainly better to, but if you feel like you haven't gotten to that stage yet, I do just want to give you a tip. Pick out a camera and just start talking to yourself. I know it sounds crazy, but like it does work. So I want to talk about convenience, and I want to make a little video today because a lot of the times, especially now when everything is so accessible, social media, every kind of food, every opportunity, obviously for some people is going to vary, like with the privileges that you have, like your household and how they help you financially, also emotionally. But what I'm saying is now more than ever, we have so many more opportunities to gain into different topics of what we want to do, and career-wise, social-wise, activity-wise, food-wise. And I want to separate materialistic happiness with actual happiness. So I think we've grown up with a culture, especially with social media now, where we look at gaining this car and having this house and having this 10,000 euros a month in salary as materialistic happy. We think this is what's going to make us happy. Like, yeah, this is it. This brand new watch is going to make me happy. But it's only momentary happiness. Because just as many things, even with careers and with households and countries, most of the time we have a base level of happiness. Most of the time when we gain a new bracket of happiness over time, obviously with certain things it's going to take longer, with certain things it's going to take shorter. Like for a watch, it would take a shorter amount of time for you to reach your basic level of happiness, but with a job it might take longer. So for you to adapt and for you to really get used to the job, because when you go inside it's all new, everything's going on. But what I'm saying is that we have this basic level of happiness, and with materialistic objects, most of the time that short base of happiness is going to be shorter, the time frame, and then you're going to end up wanting something more. So it's like never ending. On one side it's good, and I'm saying it's good not with materialistic but also with other things that we're constantly seeking to change and we're constantly seeking to do that. But on the other hand, it could get into like a really obsessive thing where you're so focused on gaining these possessions that you think are going to fulfill you as a person that you neglect other parts of your identity, and you think that these materialistic objects are your value. Like, this is me, I have my value, but then you lose your actual value as a person, where it's like your beliefs, your actions, your thoughts, your behaviors, your social connections, your physical health. You lose these kind of values because you have such an emphasis on materialism. I don't really want to get into that right now, but convenience. So we're so used to being comfortable and we don't push ourselves, whether it's in the gym, whether it's nutritionally, whether it's just actually emotionally. Like, if you notice that you have a problem with short-term memory, we don't even do anything about that. We don't even practice it because we're like, whatever, like it's not that big of a deal. Like, other people don't know about it, so I shouldn't do anything about it. So we're so focused on what other people are saying and what their opinions of us are. Like, if we're like, okay, if they don't know, then it doesn't matter. But in reality, what's most important is what you do behind closed doors. What's most important is your perception of yourself. What's most important is how you feel about yourself. And we're constantly just seeking validation from other people, where we forget the validation that we need for ourselves. So we're constantly like, oh, I have to post myself on social media. I have to portray myself to be like this. I have to show them this is my vacation. This is what I acquired. Like, people don't care. People are too busy with their own lives, with their own problems. They might swipe, and then you might fantasize about them thinking that they care. But in reality, they don't. In reality, they just move on with their lives. But we as humans, we like to form these scenarios about us being the main characters and about us like being the main issue and the main thing. But in reality, that's not how it is. In reality, people just move on with their lives, and you might think that they care, but they don't. So your perception of yourself is most important. And the way you can work on your perception and your confidence is through the actions that you do. And most of the actions are behind closed doors. More of the actions are not pressing the snooze alarm when you have to wake up in the morning. Most of the actions is going to the gym when you don't want to. Most of the actions is eating the right food when you don't want to. So convenience, this is convenience. Convenience is you making it easy for yourself. Convenience is you not analyzing yourself. It's better to overthink yourself than to underthink yourself. It's better to question yourself. It's better to see what you have to work on. It's better to understand yourself. And a lot of people don't like doing this because it's uncomfortable. So then I want to talk about the convenience of food, because nowadays it's so accessible. Like I generally, what I tend to, which I have to improve on, but when I go on fasts, prolonged fasts, there's health reasons why I do this for, but I don't do this often. But when I do, I notice that on the third day, I would start looking at food videos. And when I look at food videos, then I'm like so hyper focused on foods that I start thinking, I'm like, if my environment is food, then obviously I'm gonna be more food orientated. I'm really craving these insane foods that I would never normally do on my normal thing. And then it's like, yeah, the issue is like not getting it healthy and like changing your mindset. But the thing is, your environment. So if you surround yourself with that, then obviously you're going to be more food oriented. If you surround yourself with people who like going to the gym, obviously you're going to be more gym oriented. So yeah, your environment is important and your environment builds you, but you can control your environment. You can control who you surround yourself with, what you put inside. So I had to like legit force myself to stop watching food recipe videos on YouTube. Now, ultra-processed foods are so convenient. And you could argue on one side that it's socioeconomic, it's more convenient, it doesn't take that much time. It's most of the time, it's cheaper than buying healthier foods for people or households for low income. So obviously they would tend to do that, like just stick a frozen pizza in the oven and it's ready to feed a whole family. So on one side, yes. But on the other side, you do have to make sacrifices. And most of the time, grocery shopping is more expensive than just buying takeout food. But nutrition has a significant impact on your mental state, on your mental well-being, on your physical well-being. Nutrition makes me think more mentally clear. I feel better, healthier, and there's been a significant difference between me before and me now. I used to have a really high carb diet. I would get these insulin spikes and then I'd feel a crash and I'd feel disgusting with myself. I'm going to link down a podcast below about nutrition. So definitely educate yourself on that. But there's always going to be this cost. Like obviously it's going to be more expensive for you to eat healthier, but it's worth it. Like it's generally, it makes you feel so much better about yourself. It makes you feel so much clearer. Like when I would eat like absolute dog shit for a week, or like even a day now, the next day I'd feel the effects of it. I'd feel myself being drowsier, more lazier. I'd feel myself feeling worse about myself. I'd look in the mirror and I would subconsciously, I would notice this, but it's subconscious, where I would just feel worse about myself physically. Just try it for a week. Just eat properly, track what you're eating for like a week. Try to eat as healthy as possible. And then go a day of how you would usually eat, and the difference is significant. If you don't know where to start by educating yourself. Start by watching videos, by podcasts, by opening yourself to new opinions, and then go from there. I have a lot of videos on my YouTube channel with how to improve your confidence and actions, and your environment and things like this and just topics, but just realize you have to make it harder for yourself. Because when you make it harder for yourself, and I'm not saying that your whole life should be in punishment and suffering. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there's moments where you need to know when to make it harder, but there's also moments when you know when you need to give up. So there's like in careers, like if something's not working and you generally don't feel happy and you feel like you lost a passion, then maybe it's time for you to move on. So it's like separating the difference between actually knowing when to end something and continuing it. Like if you're on a run and you feel like giving up, obviously you're gonna well, not obviously, but you're objectively you should be continuing the run because you know that the end result is worthwhile. So separate what's worthwhile and what's worth fighting for versus what's useless and what you're wasting your time on. So put yourself into uncomfortable situations. I want to end on this note. Do something every day that would challenge yourself. Talk to a stranger, go on a run, show up to the gym when you don't want to, press the stop alarm instead of the snooze alarm when you know you have to wake up, take a cold shower. Just these little changes, these little micro habits that you form, they will compound. I'm telling you this right now. This consistency, don't chase perfection, chase consistency. And I'm telling you, they will add up. Read Atomic Habits and learn how to break habits and build new habits. I'm going to give you that recommendation. So hopefully you guys learned something today.